All right, I'm going to move my face out of the way because I don't need to see myself. And we're going to get going. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Like I say, I really appreciate your time. I do 1 million webinars. I don't show up for 1 million webinars that I sign up for. So I know that it's no small thing that you're here. So today, we are going to be talking about 3 steps to build a profitable and creative and fulfilling creative business, right? Because as creatives, we are so driven to, let me just click on here. Yes, to, find freedom, to find fulfillment. And a lot of times money ends up being at the bottom of that, right? And to the point that a lot of times we really neglect that. Now, I don't know how many of you were here with me in the past. In March, I did a webinar about money, right? So it was all about getting clear on your numbers, getting clear on your mindset about money, all of that good stuff. And I don't want it to seem like money is the only driving factor here, right? But it's an important factor. Because unless you are profitable, which is why I put profitable first before fulfilling, because we're always going to go for the fulfillment. As creatives, we'll always go that way. But the reason why, I always focus on the profitability of it, because that's what gives you the space. That's what gives you the breathing room to actually create, to make more impact, to make bigger decisions. I've talked to people in the past and they say, oh, I can't spend $400 on my business. I can't spend money on Facebook ads to promote this. I can't spend the money on a software that's going to enable me to reach more people. Well, then you're really working with one hand tied behind your back, right? And your ability to make an impact is going to be really limited. So this is really like always a lens through which I put everything: freedom, fulfillment, money. And how do we kind of keep those things in our mind's eye and in check, so that we're always focusing on those things to build that profitable business? I don't know why I'm having a hard time. There we go. I'm having a hard time with my clicker, so we'll just do it this way. So if you ever do feel overwhelmed in your creative business, you're not alone, right? It's like we all feel like that. And if you remember, like, that opening page is like this woman, she looks fabulous. She's got a cup of coffee in her hand. She's sketching. She looks beautiful. Her office is this sun-filled studio. That's kind of how we think it should be, right? That's what we think as creatives. We should be living this wonderful life. But it's kind of like thinking, as a parent, that you should be having this, amazing, wonderful, gorgeous time. It's kind of messy, right? So is creative business, but you're not alone in that, okay? So here are some challenges that I see creatives face. And I will tell you that I've worked with creatives for 20 years. I was a rep for creatives for 15 years. I've been coaching creatives for the last 8 years. So I've seen, I won't say it all, because no one's seen it all. I've seen a lot, okay? And most of the struggles are around getting new business, because that's the difference, right, between a hobby and being a professional, being a business owner. A lack of clarity and confidence around who they're targeting. Not knowing where to find prospects and how to convert them into paying clients. Luckily, this is all kind of just a system, right? And missed opportunities because they can't articulate how they're the best solution and what the next steps are. So, this is how we often end up being, right? We end up feeling overwhelmed. We don't have enough clients. And what do you think that does? This feeling here, this, like, we've all been there feeling, to your new business development, to your activities, to your outreach, to your building networks, to your proactively picking the kinds of clients you want to be working with and going after them. It pretty much puts a halt to them, right? That's what happens when you feel like this. You just go into kind of crisis mode, and it's no good place to be. You can't take action from there. But I do have good news. I always have good news. This is just the way I roll, for those of you who know me. Everything is fixable and everything is learnable. Here's the thing about creatives, and I know this because I am one. We think that as creatives, that maybe the business thing we're not so good at, right? Even if we don't say it, like, let's be honest here. Does anyone else ever feel that way? Can you put your hand up? Can you give me a hell yes, like whatever in the box? Okay, all right. Yes. I'm getting raised hands all over my screen. I can barely even see my presentation for all the raised hands, right? So we have that sneaking suspicion that we're just not very good at that, right? we are, as creatives, we are uniquely equipped to build businesses, but we have to build them in our own way, right? And when we take ownership of that, and when we take the steps to learn that, then we can combine our creativity with our business. That's the point. We bring it together, right? We don't have business being this thing that we kind of like, we don't really want to do, it's over there, but we kind of do it, right? We want to integrate it into our creative process. You just need a plan, which is why I am here. I am here to help you craft your plan. So the 3 essential steps to this particular training, which is building the more profitable and fulfilling creative business, are to define your ideal client profile, to identify what your clients want and need. Now, this is probably different from what you think. And to package your services to perfectly meet those needs. Now, here's the big distinguishing factor. It's to meet the needs that they think they have. We're going to get more into this, but this is a total like 180 on probably the way that you're thinking right now. And it's a game changer. Okay. So I'm really excited to go through this with you. So, okay. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to do a quick introduction. Many of you do, but my name is Justine, and I'm a business coach for creative professionals. And like I said, and I mentioned just a little bit earlier, that I used to be a rep for creative professionals. So when I moved to New York in 1996, I sort of accidentally fell into a job answering a telephone at a design studio. And after working there and being hired by an agent from there and really learning the ropes about what it means to position creative professionals uniquely, to get them new gigs, to negotiate those projects, to manage the projects, to turn those clients into repeat clients, basically to do everything so that the creatives can just do their work. I learned that over a period of 10 years of working for other people. And in 2006, I branched out and I started my own creative management agency where I represented art directors, copywriters, fashion illustrators, experiential designers, and they were all really like the cream of the crop, very high level, top level talent. And it was called Plum Creative. And it was immediately successful. Like, I think one of my first clients was Bloomingdale's. They were a client for like 10 years. And, we were just going great guns. I was working with amazing talent that I was honored to represent, and we were getting really great projects that were just really fun to work on. And then in 2008, who remembers this? Anyone here managed to like survive the 2008 recession? Raise your hand if you were there. Okay. All right. Christina, Dawn, Brian, Hope. Yeah. Okay. The list goes on. We were all there. Right. And it was a devastating moment because the bottom fell out of my business overnight because I was representing talent that were $1,500 a day, $2,000 a day. And, even the Bloomingdale's of the world were like, yeah, we're going to just work with what we've got in-house right now. We've got a hiring freeze, whatever. So I knew that I needed to be a solution to my client's biggest problem. And I was not. I was superfluous to requirements. I was as proactive as I was in knocking on doors, dreaming up new, promotions, lowering prices, or anything I could think of. Nothing was sticking. I was beating a dead horse. So I realized that I had a problem. Now, as I was having this kind of, come to Jesus moment, creators were like beating a path to my door because they were getting laid off from in-house departments. They were getting laid off for agencies, and they were looking for an agent, thinking that an agent is your only connection to jobs, right? Who has ever thought that they need an agent to get work? Maybe not so many people now, but in those days, that was your only way to get work, right? Or so people thought. So I had more time than work at that time. And I always had a policy, an open door policy. I would meet with anyone. Someone could call me from a payphone on the corner. That's, dating myself, and say, I've got a sketch on a napkin. Can I bring it up? And I'd say yes. So I started spending time with people, and I realized that they just had no idea how to even position, but to position themselves to start with. And then from there to figure out who their ideal clients were, and then to create a plan to connect with those people. So this thought starts, percolating. So, I've gone one ahead. So I decided to, sort of start this business where I could teach people how to do that. And so I started my own coaching business. At that time, it was called Pitch Perfect. It was a total side business. Now, I was starting a new business in an entirely different industry. And I knew that in order to do that, I had to do it right. I had to know what the fundamentals were, what the building blocks I needed to build that business, okay, in a different industry from the way I'd just always been taught to do things, which, by the way, wasn't necessarily the right way. It's just the way I had been taught, right? And it totally changed the way I thought about doing business. It totally changed the way I thought about getting clients, about permission marketing. And it really was the beginning of what my company is now, which is my coaching business. And in that business now, I take those 15 years of experience and understanding of the creative industry and the advertising industry and the design industries, and I've combined it with what I learned in that program, coaching people, building my own second business. And now I coach creatives from all over the world in all different capacities. So we are going to talk about how to get the most out of this training, so I can really give you the benefit of all of those years of experience, but honed into these 3 very distinct steps. All of them you can take action on today, okay? So block off this time. I've been there. I'm looking at Instagram, I'm answering my emails, I'm making a cup of tea. Focus and you'll get more out of it, okay? Just be here with me for the next hour. Take notes as we go along. I've noticed, and I think it's been proven, but I cannot quote this study to you, when you write things down, you're much more likely to take action on it, and you're much more likely to retain it. So take notes on the things that resonate with you, okay? And set the intention to work on one thing, just one thing in the next 48 hours, because the universe responds to action, right? And you put an action out there and you'll be amazed at what might come back to you. Okay, so let's talk about who you are. You're in the right place if you're tired of hoping new clients are going to come your way, hopefully in time to make rent or payroll. No one ever taught you how to develop new business in a way that feels authentic and actually works. And we're going to talk about that because that changes, that evolves as the industry changes, as a market changes, okay? So someone may have taught you something, but it doesn't work anymore. And you know you need to be more proactive about bringing in new business, you know, to Don's point at the beginning, but you don't know where to start. So in the chat box, tell me, what is your number one challenge around getting new clients? I'd love to hear from you so I can kind of tailor what we talk about to that. Okay, I'm going to wait just a minute. I know we have a little bit of a lag. Okay, Don, type it in the chat box there. I see a raised hand, but if you can just type whatever that is in there, that would be amazing. Low budgets, that's from Kevin. Yes. Okay, what else? All right, well, as we go on, I will see what else comes in here because, okay, not pricing yourself right. Great, that's from Judith. Trying to transition into a new industry. Oh, yes, Jane, that was me moving into this coaching industry. Elspeth, getting the right clients. Yes, we're going to be talking about that. Persuading clients they have a need. Love that, Carissa. We're going to be talking about that. Where to find repeat clients with money. That's nurturing your relationships. Finding good clients, the ones that value what you do, yes. Hope, transitioning into a new industry, reaching out to new clients. Oh, that's an interesting one. Crowdsourcing platforms that are altering perceptions of design. Yes, the industry is changing. We have to evolve with it. And finding clients that have money for services, determining who to contact. Do they have the budget? Okay, these are all really great points. And they're all things that we've all experienced, we've all seen. Robin having the money to start up a business. Yes. So the great thing about these webinars is that you get to see that everyone shares the same problems you do, right? And there's also sort of a bunch of sort of solutions that we can use that apply to all of us. So we're going to talk about those today. So I love this quote, and I actually have it on my website. I use it everywhere. Being good in business is the most fascinating kind of art. Making money is art, and working is art, and good business is the best art of all. I love that, right? But isn't it great to think about your business as a part of your art? So that mindset shift can, in and of itself, make a huge difference. So we're going to jump into step 1. We're going to define your ideal client profile. Now, the first mistake that most people make around this is they try to be all things to all people. Anyone guilty of that here? I think there might be a few of you here. Yes. Okay, all right. I'm seeing lots of hands being raised. And It's absolutely normal and it's absolutely natural to do that, especially when you start out in business, right? Because at the beginning, it's not a business until you have paying clients. So it's in your interest to take on whatever clients you can, make as much money as you can. The problem is, most people stop there, right? They keep on taking all of the projects, they sort of take whatever budgets come their way, and they just accept it and deal with it, right? And it doesn't evolve. What I would like to suggest to you is that once you've got past that initial stage where you're just taking on projects because you're testing it out as much as they are, right? You might think that a certain client is great for you, and actually you work with them and you're like, oh God, I hate them. Like, you might decide, oh, real estate's my thing, but then you deal with them and you're like, oh, they're awful. Just a random example, nothing against real estate people. So it's good to try and test, but at a certain point when you find that niche where you really, and we'll talk more about that, right? Where your unique brilliance aligns with their needs and you get results for them that they are delighted with, that's your sweet spot. That's when we specialize. So here's the problem with not specializing. If you are trying to be all things to all people and you're trying to do everything for all people, because let's face it, you're creative, you can do a lot of things. How are you going to do outreach? How are you going to reach out to clients? Who do you call? What do you say? What kind of a system do you have for new business development? So I'll give you an example, right? So when I was a rep, I used to represent a range of creatives, art directors, copywriters, fashion illustrators primarily. So my new business involved lots of things, including picking up the phone and calling people, and cold emailing people as well, right? So I had to figure out a strategy. So I wasn't just like randomly calling all kinds of different people and being all over the place, because my efforts, I would be spinning my wheels, right? I'd be all over the place. So let's say, for example, that I had relationships in the publishing industry for the kinds of art directors that hired fashion illustrators. Then if I took on another kind of illustrator, which we did at one point, who specialized in children's books, we took her on because we loved her personally, professionally, all of these things. But then I realized, okay, for me to get her new business, I now have to develop relationships in children's book publishing. It's a whole different area. So I've got to develop those relationships. Not existing, I've got to pitch her separately. Doesn't work, right? So you've got to think about, like, when you have your ideal client profile, you can really hone and focus your new business and your outreach efforts, from where you network, to who you call, to the strategic alliances that you develop, all of that good stuff, right? So I want you to write this down. When you know who your ideal client is and what they struggle with and what they need right now, you have clarity. And clarity, people, is everything. When you have clarity in your business, you can like, it's like a game changer. I'm like so excited I cannot even speak right now, right? Because suddenly you have hours more in the day. You have more energy. You have more focus. The work that you're putting out is much better because you have that clarity. And it all starts with who your ideal clients are. But here is my caveat. Don't just go with a demographic, okay? They are not going to cut it. What happens with demographics and avatars is that they are too broad and they're static, okay? So sometimes, I've come across people, and if they do have an ideal client, it's like, well, it's women between the age of 18 and 50. How is that particularly helpful to you, right? Obviously, you probably have a few more qualifiers in there, but it's too static. The new way of thinking about our clients is like, who are they? Who are they as people? Who are they becoming? Because what you're selling, what we're all selling, is a transformation. We are helping them get from where they are to where they want to be. That's the transformation. And you are selling that outcome that they want, okay? So we're going to get more into it, but that's how I want you to think about it. Who are they becoming? What is the transformation they are looking to achieve? And how do I personally help them achieve that transformation? So knowing who your ideal client is going to help you figure out what the challenges and aspirations are, how they like to be spoken to and engaged with, because that's key too, right? So when I was talking to a client the other day, and he said, I used to just pick up the phone. I would make like 200 new business calls a week. I mean, that's hardcore, right? No one wants to do that anymore because people don't want to talk to me. And that's true. It's really not the easiest way to get business. I used to do it that way too. So how do they like to be spoken to and engaged with? And what products or services do they need? And what are they motivated to buy? So I know that a few of you shared in your challenges there that you feel like you have to persuade people that they need it, or they don't know that they need it. That's a problem that you can fix in how you connect with them, and how you communicate to them, and how you position yourself to them, and how you relate to them, right? That's something that can start with you. I know it seems weird, right? But you can work back from where they are and then alter your own approach from there. Okay. So here's 3 ways in which you can do that, because I want this to be actionable for you, right? And I want you to take action. So one of the ways in which you can figure out more about your ideal clients and learn more about them as people that you really care about and you actually really want to help, right? You can share a questionnaire. This is great for project-based businesses. Now, I'll give you an example. I see there's a few people on here that I've spoken to. Christina, I spoke to her yesterday. These people will know that when you book a call with me, I'll send you a questionnaire. I'll have you fill out a questionnaire before we speak. And what that does, I'll ask, what do you do? How many clients do you have? What are your biggest challenges? What's each client worth to you? How many clients do you need? What would, if all things went amazingly, what would life look like for you 12 years from now? 12 months, not 12 years. That's way too far out. In the future. What this does is it helps them prepare for the call. It helps me prepare for the call. But it also, as a sort of side effect, I've now got all of this information that people have shared with me that is really their honest to goodness feelings about their businesses and their aspirations and the problems they're having. Right? So I now have a very good idea of what it is that people struggle with, what they aspire to. And let me tell you, it's 5 things. We all struggle with the same, not exactly 5, but handful of problems. They just manifest in different ways and on different levels. Let me just take a glass of water. I'm chatting so much, my mouth is dry. So that's a really great way, if you're having people have a call with you, to ask them these questions ahead of time, for you to really get to intimately, acquainted with what's going on with them, so that you can speak to them in a way that's caring and helpful and actually fixes their problems. The next thing is to interview your ideal or your best clients, right? We may not be working with our ideal clients yet, but we can do it with our best clients, right? The best ones we have so far. And the best way to do that, over a cup of coffee, over a glass of wine, right? Because you just call them up, you send an email and you say, hey, I'm working on repositioning my business and I would like to have more clients like you. Would it be okay if I, took you out for a cup of coffee and, interviewed you for or asked you some questions? It'll just take half an hour of your time. Most times they'll actually stay longer, but you should keep it to half an hour or 20 minutes. But a lot of times, they'll stay hang out. And they'll just tell you what's going on. They'll tell you what they need. They'll tell you why they like working with you. They'll tell you what you're not doing for them. And this is all great information, amazing. I always say to people, if you don't do anything else that I ever tell you, do this. It's also the thing that's most intimidating for most of us to do, because we're oh, I don't know. I'm scared. I'm not sure. I don't want to take up the time. People love to help. That's something we really underestimate people. They love to share their opinions, and they love to support a business development, because we all think we've got great ideas, right? So they want to pitch in with theirs. It's human. So here are some interview questions that you might ask. Now, obviously, you're going to adapt them to your market, you're adapt to yourself. So you would ask, why did you come to me? What did you get from working with me? A lot of times it's going to be different from what you think it is. We're going to talk more about that later, okay? So take note of that. Why did you continue to work with me? I know that someone said in the chat, getting those repeat clients. That's what we want. We want the repeat clients, because getting clients is hard work, okay? And also, they don't want to keep reinventing the wheel. If they find someone that's doing an amazing job for them, they want to keep coming back to you. They want to refer you to all their friends because it's going to make them look good, okay? So win-win for everybody. What challenges do you regularly come up against? We all have challenges. And sometimes I think that, when we're freelancers, and let me know if this resonates, I'd like to see some hands. So sometimes we think that like the people that are in-house are somehow like up here, or the agencies and the clients, and we're somehow down here. But we all put our pants on one leg at a time. We all have challenges, and sometimes they've got some big lofty position. They're just higher class challenges. Okay. So we want to know what they are, because you may be the person to solve them. And all things being perfect, where would you like to be 1 year from now? That really helps them tap into that visioning, that who they're becoming. And if you can tap into who they're becoming, you can speak to that transformation. You can work backwards and figure out, how do I get them there? And how do I let them know I can get them there? Is this resonating? Can I see a show of hands? Can I see a yay and okay, Philippe, Jane, Judith. Okay, good. Yes. All right, good. It's resonating. All right. I've got loads of raised hands. This is great. Thank you. And then the last thing is, what do you need that I don't currently offer? Now, the reason I like this question is because it can be something that's helpful or not, right? So someone might say, I need a copywriter. I want you to do copy as well. And you might say, oh, I don't want to touch that. Or you might be like, that's something I could totally do. I have a friend who's a copywriter. Why don't I position myself, instead of being like, a hired hand, an art director for hire, why don't I position myself as a creative agency or a creative studio, whereby I can team up with a copywriter, I can team up with a website designer, I can team up with a web developer, and we can do a full on rebrand. Right? You might decide, that's my next level. Like, this is my new positioning. That's awesome. Or they may say something that you just don't want to do. And you're like when I was an agent, people would say, I need more junior people. So first of all, I actually did try and accommodate them. But then I realized, this doesn't really work for me, because to get junior people, you have to, scour the boards at schools. You've got to be, people don't stay junior for very long. So you have to keep getting this new thing. You don't make any money off of them, and they don't know what they're doing. So you have to hold their hand. Didn't make any sense. So I was like, no, that's probably not what I will do, but I'll stay with the high level people. Okay. So it's great to just hear what they need. All right. So the third way is to do an online survey. Now, this I love, because it's a way that you can help people figure out what are the challenges, what are, especially like when they've done a program with you, right? So they may have already done a program, and you want to get feedback on it. You want to see, what can I change? How can I grow this? How can I evolve this? So that's really a great thing too. I'm just going to check something here. I was looking at the time here so I can keep on schedule. So, all of us struggle with these problems. One of the clients that I recently worked with, he's a creative director. And when he went through my group coaching program, he, along with everyone else, was really freaked out by the idea of interviewing his ideal clients. Like, he's a humble guy, like, as we all are. We don't want to bother people. He got totally addicted to interviewing his ideal clients. He just could not get enough of it, because he realized how valuable it was. And here's what most people don't realize, even though I tell them, they still don't believe me. The clients are going to say really nice things about you. And when people say nice things about you, you're like, oh, that is really nice. It just boosts your confidence, right? But you realize how much people appreciate you, and how much the things that you can take for granted that you do mean to them. So I would absolutely 100% say to you, please, please, please do this exercise, because it's kind of scary to do it, but it's so meaningful. So your action, write this down, okay, is to write a list of questions, even if you don't have to write them now, but if they're coming to you, write them down, that you might want to ask somebody, right? What do you want to know? And these questions should be questions that are helpful to you, right? So thinking about like, well, how can I serve them? What are my packages? And you might want to wait to the end of this webinar because it's going to give you some thoughts about the questions that would be helpful to you. So step 2, identify what your ideal clients want and need. Those words are italicized for a reason. I'm going to take you through that. The second mistake is making it about you and not them, right? So often we just talk about ourselves on our website. We're like, I'm an art director, I'm a graphic designer, I'm a photographer, I went to school here, I take photos of this kind of photos, I won these awards. That's it. No call to action, no talk about how they can hire you, no talk about the problems they're solving. And it's nothing against anybody, right? We've all done it because we weren't taught to do it another way. I'm teaching you another way, okay? So what you need to know about your ideal clients to create a message that resonates with them rather than you just talking about yourself. The problems your ideal clients think they have and the problems your ideal clients actually have. Now, here's the challenge and the mistake that we make. We know what they need, right? Within a certain our field of expertise, we know what they need, right? It's not what they think they need. So we might be saying, well, here are all the reasons why you need to hire me to do your branding, because it's da 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 da. And they're just like, yeah, I don't really want to spend $50,000 on a rebrand right now. What I really need is to regain market share. And you're like, well, yes, but a rebrand is going to help you do that. But at that point, you've lost them, right? They just see you trying to sell them on something that they don't think they need, right? So Seth Godin, he has the best quotes. I mean, he basically just seems to know everything about everything. But people rarely buy what they need. They buy what they want. Who else does that? I do that, right? It's just like, if someone tells me something, well, you need to do this, and here are all the reasons why, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I hear it, but not for me. If it's not emotionally a need that I feel, you can tell me all day long, and I'm not going to buy it unless I really want it. Anyone else? Right? So the solution, sell them what they want, give them what they need. Now, when I first heard this, actually, my assistant Sherry told me this. She told me this about a program I was launching. And I was like, that is genius. Because as she said, if you drag them in, you're going to drag them around, right? We don't want those kinds of clients that we're going to have to be dragging around. Sorry for something in my eye. We want the ones that want to be there, that they get it, right? Because those are the ones who value what we do. Speaking to those challenges you guys are having, they value what you do. They will pay well for what you do, and they will respect what you bring to the process. Okay, those are the ones we want coming in. So how do you find this out? You become a creative sleuth. Right? All of this stuff doesn't just happen, right? We've all got to put in the work here. We've all got to do the work on the back end or behind the scenes, let's say, so that the front end all looks like seamless and perfect and totally on point with what they need, okay? So here are some suggestions for your creative sleuthing. Review old briefs, right? So look at all of the projects you've ever done in the past and see what they were asking for. What were they saying was their objective? Because even those projects that didn't go anywhere, this is the way that we can actually start making use of all of those annoying proposals that we wrote and never went anywhere because they just died in the water or whatever. It still gives you intel, right, on what they actually needed, what they were trying to do, what their challenges were that were making them reach out in the first place. The second suggestion is to cast your mind back to client conversations, right? What clues did they give you about their goals, their challenges, their fears, right? And those can be personal fears and challenges and goals as well as professional ones, right? So they may be fearing that, okay, say the music industry has been tanking for the last, 16 years, 15 years, whatever it is. And then these people, these executives, maybe if you work in the entertainment and music industry, they're fearing for their jobs, right? So that is something that is a transformation or an outcome that you can be supporting them in. Is helping them not lose their job, basically, by creating amazing solutions that are going to make them look good, that are going to help them make a change, whatever that might be, right? So thinking about those things and paying attention, obviously, moving forward, right? Writing things down. we start to just tune our ear to what they are saying rather than what we are saying that they are not quite understanding, right? It's not our job to make them understand what's right. It's our job to understand what they need and then to align ourselves with that, right? Makes sense? Is this making sense, everybody? I'll wait to see. Okay, yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Good. All right, great. And then review any emails or project notes that you may have, right? And if you aren't already doing this, write these things down afterwards. So every time I run a group program, I interview a few, I send a survey out afterwards. I interview a couple of people in depth, maybe a few people, and ask them what worked, what didn't work, and I write those things down. And you always think you'll remember everything. Well, maybe that's just me, and you don't. So, looking at any notes that you may have written, maybe some projects were challenging. I had one client, and she had like a challenging client, and so I said, well, okay, well, let's not just write her off as being challenging. She clearly was a challenging personality, but what can we learn from this? What could we do differently that would ease her mind so she didn't feel triggered, so she wasn't challenging? Like, what could you do that could help that, right? So all of these things are giving you that intel to sharpen things up when it comes to how you're packaging your services, how you're approaching clients, how you're onboarding clients, how you're deciding who you don't want to work with, because that's a great place to be. When you say, you seem kind of crazy, I'm going to pass, right? That's a good feeling. So take action. You're going to brainstorm all the problems that your clients think they have. These are the ones that count, the ones that they think they have. So I have some ideas and some suggestions for you in case you're like, I don't know. All right. Some keeping them up at night examples, because that's what we really want, right? What's keeping them up at night? That they're not a leader in their field or category, and they want to be. That they're no longer relevant. Oh, who hasn't felt that? Wanting to attract new, younger customers, but not knowing how. Oh, those millennials, everyone wants them, no one understands them, no one knows how to get them, right? And the next generation is going to be the same thing. Wanting new customers without alienating their existing ones, that's having your cake and eating it, right? But can be done. And needing to turn a stale brand around and fast. When I was a rep, we had clients like that a lot, right? It was just, they'd had a good business, and say, the Talbots or the Garnet Hills or the Coldwater Creeks, these companies that were successful, were big, and they'd gone stale. They needed to turn things around. And that's where you can really come in and help them do that and partner with them to do that. Or not connecting or engaging with their clients online. The online sphere is perpetually confounding to these more established clients, right? They're trying to keep up with the cool kids and it's not quite working, right? So that might be a way where you can help them, right? While still helping them be true to their brand. So I want you to write everything down that you can think of that they think they need, the things that are keeping them up at night, okay? And you can just write a note to yourself. You can jot it down now, you can do it later, but do it, okay? Now, the next thing we're going to take action on is brainstorming the problems your clients actually have. Now, these are the things that you're going to help them solve, right? You're just going to call it something different. You're going to sell them what they want. You're going to give them what they need. This is the giving them what they need piece. So problems they have, but they may not be thinking of, include. They don't know who they're targeting. Sounds familiar, right? They don't have a standout product or service. Their message is weak and or inconsistent. They don't have a consistent brand identity, image, or voice across all platforms. Their executive, creative, and marketing teams, there's a comma missing, sorry, are not aligned and working towards a shared outcome. They don't have a strategy to engage, convert, and retain new clients, right? So if you spoke to these problems, now let's just see a show of hands or in the chat box, has anyone been trying up until this point to push the importance of this on our clients, to impress upon them how important it is, but yet they're not quite getting it? Has anyone had that challenge, or is that just, okay, all right, we're starting to see, okay, the hands are starting to come in. Safe space, people, okay? You're among friends, It's all good, right? So knowledge is power. So now you know where that disconnect is, right? You're talking about these things and they don't get it. Whereas if you're speaking to those problems that are keeping them up at night, and then the solutions are these things, you know, helping them figure out who their target client is, helping them with a standout product or service, helping them with a consistent and strong message, you know, helping them get those teams aligned. Now you're in business. Okay. Good? Okay. So you're going to write down everything you can think of there, right? Because that is going to inform our next step, which is packaging your service to solve your ideal client's most pressing needs. Now, I see that we have Deb Gaines in the house. Deb is a client of mine who, Deb, I hope it's okay that I call you out. Can you raise your hand if it is okay? I just wanted to share a little bit about, you know, if it was all right. But Deb reworked all of her packages and to great impact in her business so that it really worked for her and what she wanted to give and what she was uniquely brilliant at giving and what her ideal clients wanted and needed. Okay. So that's something that I think is really, we can all do it no matter what industry you're in. So which brings us to our final mistake, offering a laundry list of services. Now, I love this quote. The idea of being all things to all people is a thing of the past. It's really true. The way consumers are engaging now, it's they don't want this sort of like outside force telling them what they need and what you need this and you need this and you need this and we'll do all of those things and they're like, all right. They want to choose for themselves. Like they want to have a specialist on the job. They want the very best person because they know they can have access to them wherever they are in the world now. They can find them wherever they are in the world. The business has changed. The industry has changed. The world has changed. And that's what I'm saying. These old things that worked before, we need to change too, but we can, right? So this is something that, you know, when I work with my clients, I help them a lot with their messaging. In fact, I help write a lot of their messaging a lot of times. And if there's one thing I see all the time is that we're a full service design agency, right? Has anyone ever described themselves as a full service design agency? If you have, you're not standing out from anybody else, right? It's just there's a laundry list of services that you're going to offer that don't really connect with people. So in the chat room, or even just like put your hand up if there's relays, how many of you offer a menu style list of services right now because you're not sure how else to do it? And it's all cool because we've all done that, right? And also we see a few hands going up because you can do a lot of things. You offer a lot of things, right? It becomes this just, and the challenge with the menu style list of services is that then the client gets to pick and choose what they want, right? They're like, well, yes, no, I don't really need a new logo. And you're like, you really need a new logo, but I need a new website. So you're like, okay, so now I've got to do this new website, but they want to keep their branding and they want to keep this hideous logo that their nephew did, when they were first starting out. And that's a challenge where you get like, they don't know what they need, right? So I'm going to tell you how else to do it a different way. Why create packages? Now, let's just address something quickly. And I want you to tell me if this resonates with you or not. A lot of creatives struggle with the idea of packages because they say, well, every project is different for me. Every client is different for me. I can't package my services. Okay, Elspeth, yes. Okay, anyone else? Does that resonate with anybody else? Okay, oh yes, we're starting to see, okay, all right, the names are starting to come up. Now, they don't have to be defined packages. So for example, in my business, I have very defined packages because I work with people over a 6-month period, or I work with people on a 90-minute period. Or I work with people in a group capacity, but I'm able to sort of put containers around that, right? I know from writing proposals for 15 years that that's not as easy to do in the sort of, let's say, branding, design, writing. But there are ways where you can create like services that are packaged together so that someone can understand that, like, if they need a rebrand, what that looks like for them. And that rebrand, let's use it as an example, is identified and articulated in such a way that it's speaking to what they want and what they need rather than what they want rather than what they need, right? So that's why thinking about this ahead of time and figuring it out so that when they come to your website or when you talk to them on the phone and you say, and you're connecting with them on these challenges, on these aspirations, they clearly understand that you know what they're talking about and or what the challenges are. They feel heard, they feel understood, and you can then take them through this. And then they say, oh my gosh, she totally gets it. She's worked with people like me, and here's how she's done it. And she's talking about this transition I want, and she's talking about its outcome. And this package or this service or this way is to get me there. Doesn't that seem like that would be more of a sort of an easy sell? I will tell you, it is, because I've done it, okay? So, and I've helped countless other clients do it too. So it can be done. It's just a little tricky. So here's what package will help you do. It'll help you more effectively communicate what you offer and how people can work with you. Pretty genius, right? They're going to help you charge higher rates for specialized services. Yay! They're going to help you establish yourself as a creative partner rather than a set of hands. How many people here feel like a set of hands? I know it's one of the things that my clients struggle with the most, right? And you're more than that. You're not just a technician. You are a problem solver. Here's what packages help your clients do. They help your clients quickly understand what you do and, most importantly, how it benefits them. Because that's all anyone cares about. What's in this for me? What am I going to get out of this? That's cool. They're paying you, right? Because it helps them recognize themselves and their challenges in your messaging. I've had so many people go to my website, look at my packages and say, I felt like you were talking to me. Now, here's a kicker. They might be an IT specialist. They might be a branding agency. They might be a copywriter. They might be a UX designer. It's not that I'm just targeting like copywriters or something, but they recognize themselves because, like I say, we all in the creative industry share a handful of common challenges, right? And that's why those first two steps are going to really help you identify what those are. And that's all you pretty much talk about is just those challenges and how you solve them. Is this making sense, guys? I know that like packages are really tricky. Okay, good. All right, good. Thank you. I really appreciate that you guys are interactive, that you're raising your hands. It's really helpful to me. So I can always explain something if something isn't quite clear, right? And it also helps them quickly identify which package is best for them. Which being the operative word, right? By the time they get to you, and there's all kinds of other ways I help my clients, qualify and pre-qualify clients. But by the time they get to you, it's not like if they're going to work with you, it's when and how. Okay? So, nice place to be, right? Teeny tiny heads up. It takes some work. Writing packages, I don't like to sugarcoat anything. I've gone on webinars where people are like, here's 6 steps to 6 figures. You just need to do this. It's not that hard. It is hard. It's all hard, right? But it's worth it. And you can do it. And I can help you do it. But you can do it, but it does take some work. It's going to take all of these steps that we talked about and then maybe a couple more, okay? But you can do this. Because, well, we do have the World Cup on right now, although I'm so sorry to say I haven't seen one match so far, which is a travesty. But, anyway, talent without working hard is nothing. Cristiano Ronaldo is a footballer, for those of you who do not know. But I love the quote, right? So here's how you're going to do it. Now, like I say, it's a big topic. It's complex. So I'm going to give you the overview, right? This is a webinar after all, but I'll give you these overviews so you're going to get your arms around this, because that's the first step. Get your arms around it, and then you can break it down. You're going to create the following sections for your package: a who you are section. This is where you describe your ideal clients and their current circumstances. Now, if you want to look at any of this, you can always go to my website, justinclay.com. You can check out my packages. You can see in more detail what I mean. What you need. This is where you describe their aspirations, their goals, the things they need to get done. Do you see how this is helping them be like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. What you struggle with, the challenges and the pain points. We all share a handful of them. So when you describe those, for your ideal clients. They're going to feel understood. Okay, she gets it. If she gets it, that means she can solve it. And what you get. What are the deliverables? Genevieve has a question. Does that mean me or the client? Them. So it's as if you're writing it to them. Who you are this person, client. So you're talking to the client. Does that answer the question? What you need, describing the client, what they need, right? Making sense? Okay, good, great. What you get, these are the deliverables. This is like how, like you're going to get a logo, you're going to get a brand identity, you're going to get a brand voice, you're going to get a website, right? So that's whereas most people that's all they do. They just share the deliverables, right? So I had a client last year or the beginning of this year, and she, I always remember, like on our call, she said, I feel like I'm on the verge of getting it, but I haven't got it yet. I'm still working with low-paying clients. There's really bitty clients. Bitty meaning, I do a little project here, a little project there. I do like a PowerPoint presentation for them. I do a flyer. I do none of that is anything you can really build a business about or project out on or plan for, right? So one of the areas we really worked on with her, she's a branding and design expert, was packages. And she is now, killing it. And in fact, I saw in her newsletter yesterday, she had this purple box at the top that said, just so you know, I only have 4 spots left for the rest of the year for branding projects. She's booked out. She started, working with me, I think like last November, with, not enough money per month. And now she's more than doubled her revenue. She's booked out for the rest of the year practically. She's got a few spots left. That's what this process does for you, okay? It's game changing. I get very excited about this, as you can tell. So let's talk about why you showed up today. You're tired of living project to project and never knowing where that gig or check is coming from. You're considering getting a regular job. Just for the steady paycheck. Now, it's cool. If you go and get a regular job because you want one, fine. Even if you don't want one, fine. You do what you need to do. But there's things you can try first if you're up for it. And you know that the key to building a thriving creative business or career starts with this is a wrong point, getting clear on money. That's actually not it. It's getting clear on how to make money, okay? It's getting clear about how to get those ideal clients, how to turn them into repeat clients, and how to build that profitable business. You're ready to identify and market your creative expertise to the people that you want to be working with. You're ready to attract and work with those ideal clients. And you're ready to get paid what you're worth, because when you attract ideal clients, they pay you what you're worth. It's just how it goes. And of course, we all want to live a happy, creatively fulfilling life, right? That's why we do this. That's why we're creatives in the first place. That's why we didn't become lawyers or doctors, right? We wanted to have a creative life. So how do I make this happen? Well, if you are interested in positioning yourself to better paying clients, packaging your services so that they sell, and being booked solid like Lena was by the clients that you want to be working with, we should talk. I am offering today a 90-minute strategy session to you guys. I'm so excited about it because I love doing these sessions. Here's why. You would be amazed at what clarity and what actions you can get and the strategy that can come out of 90 minutes working with me. Now, this would suggest that we're doing it in person. We do it online, but I had this picture and it was nice. So let's talk about what that strategy session looks like. I will send you a short questionnaire ahead of time so that we can both come to the session fully prepared. You're also free to send me any materials, anything you want me to look at. So I will come like 100% ready to go, and so will you. We're going to talk about your goals. We're going to talk about what's getting in your way, and we're going to create a plan to move you forward. Now, it varies for different people. Sometimes that means coming up with a strategy. Sometimes it means coming up with a new website outline. Sometimes it means coming up with copy. Sometimes it means coming up with the ideal client profile. Sometimes it says services. It can be anything. This is your session. And then I follow up with recap notes. I do great recap notes. A recording of the session, so you can really go back and process it and go through it. And any resources or support you need executing it. That might be a book, it might be a worksheet, it might be a suggestion of someone you should meet, it might be all of the above. Anything I can throw at this that will help and support you. Now, I have worked with a range of clients in this capacity. A lot of times the people that, are clients, they're existing clients. Sometimes it's people that want to work with me one-on-one on my 6-month program, but they want to try this out. Sometimes it's people that have done that already and they just need a tweak. It can be anything, but it can be just so clarifying to have someone else's head working on your business. So who is a good fit for this? If you know that you need to think and act differently to reach your goals, you need to get out of that train of thought that you've got going in your head, or that which leads to actions that are the same, that are just getting the same results. That's a good person, right? If you're ready for support, if you're tired of doing it alone, there's only so many solutions we can come up with out of our own heads, right? And you're ready to invest the time, energy, and money into your professional and personal development. This is for you. Let's book your session. So let's talk about what the investment is. I'm going to have a gift to you guys for showing up today, because I know you took an hour out of your day. I really appreciate it. And to me, that shows me that you guys are willing to do what it takes. You're willing to just go for it. So I'm offering you $100 off if you book this week. Okay, so it's Tuesday now. If you book by Friday, then you can just go ahead, click on this link. Actually, I think Sherry's going to put that link. There we go. She just popped that in the chat box. You can go ahead and just click on that now, so it opens up in your browser, and hopefully it doesn't take you away from here. And you can think about it. Go book that session, right? I would love to work with you on this, and I'd love to just share, one more thought that one of my clients had about this. I actually ran into her. This is actually a really sweet story. I went to an event last week, and I had actually done this. Normally we do this over Zoom, but Jana's computer wasn't working, so we ended up just doing a phone conversation. So I actually didn't get to see her. And we did our call, I don't know, a year ago or something. And I was at this event, and it was, standing room only. I'm standing, there listening. And the woman next to me says to me afterwards, "Are you Justine?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'm Jana." And she said, "Oh my God, that session was so helpful to me. I basically changed the course of how I'm approaching my business, how I'm talking about it, what my website looks like, how I'm charging for it. All of these things just happened from that 90 minutes. So if that does, I've just got 4 sessions available. So if that sounds like something that's going to jumpstart your career, that's going to get you on the track to where you need to be, I would love to work with you. So go ahead, click on that link, book your session. I'm just going to look at the time. Oh my goodness, it's 12:59. I totally nailed the timing. I nearly always go over. And, if anyone has any questions about that session, feel free to ask me. But I just want to thank you again. You guys have been great. I really appreciated your input and your thoughts, and, your feedback, and raising your hand, and just giving me the opportunity to share what I know with you guys, because I love helping creative professionals build better businesses, to fulfill their own potential. To me, that's just an incredible thing. So I would love to, just be here for you, continue to support you. If that works for you, go ahead, book your session, and I will see you soon. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody.